region, and that is proof in the pudding, considering they're sitting on top of the leaderboard and they're looking pretty and they're looking swaggish, because right now Tayson picked up a knock on the feet, and we already seen this. Double E limbs comes from height. The E limb natality is strong with this trio.
And you can see, have you ever just wanted a shark with a laser beam on top of its head? Well, this is the best you'll ever get. It's Mongrel up there with a legendary Stark infantry rifle, raining shots from above. We saw Savage go down in the feed. Lecty's going to pick up another Elim. Despite the fact that 17 players have dropped, not a single trio has gone down, so only one placement point doled out. And as I say that, they begin to tick over. Mongrel gets another elimination. 15 trios remaining, going to be forced over to the side. He's going to build back up. He needs to get over to the high ground and connect with this team, but they are doing a great job of executing this textbook high ground control, and it's going to be their match to close out. However, low on mats is Mongrel, but he says, don't matter, don't care. I got the AR I need in the Stark Industry Rifle, and he finds another elimination. We have trios.
And it's going to go back over water again. And it all is up to Tayson, the in-game leader, to kind of lead Mongrel and Mitro to the prime positioning with getting a knock on ZQ, getting them those angles that they need to send those beams down. We've already labeled these as one of the strongest players in the region with beams, and look at this, it's going to go off a waterfall, so the more elevation is going to go down and down. This is going to be crazy. This is intense. Coral Castle, and now we're going to take a peek just for a brief moment at what is going down in the chaos down below. We have the ultimate box fighter teams, Wolfie, CRR, and Kenzel sitting in third place, trying to say, wait a minute, not so fast, Mongrel. We are going to contest you, and we are going to have a chance to win, but it's going to require a huge effort to dethrone the Kings on top, Sundown.
And we still need to see them go down. However, Jan is on his feet despite Andelix being up. So the second place team at least still getting up to fifth. That's what the top trios do the best in the game. They manage to find a way to eke out these placement points. We've talked about it, that Europe has kind of been the run of the Lone Ranger of the final moments. And if there isn't a trio hip to hip, then there's an opportunity for the clutches to come through. But right now on the low ground, you have one of the most dangerous trios who is hip to hip, as Hen will go down there. Deceptos following in his feet right away will signal the end of that trio, but Wolfies is at the back of the storm. But at the end of the day, the story of EU, time and time again, E11 Tayson, the Chapter 2 Season 3 solo winner, Liquid Mitro and Mongrel on the high ground running it out. It's a 3v2. They have 11 eliminations, and at this point, it is a battle for second. There is no way, unless there is a monumental ruin, that with the way this trio is playing so far, anybody will be able to catch them or repeat this performance. And this is why Mitro drops down. Tayson and Mongrel shooting fish in a literal barrel of the zone. 13 eliminations, 38 points.
You know they're feeling it when Tayson edit downs Mitro to be the ultimate swanton bomb off the top rope, getting the big time E-limbs and the victory royale. Sundown. Wow, man. We all question, will Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson have a successful hot start in day 2? And that right there, with the great consistency in that opening games, proves that they have a great chance of walking away to being that FNCS Trios champion.
55 points through the first 2 games. This trio is averaging now just over 25 points a game. That's a victory royale with nothing else. This run is nuts, but we're going to send it on over to Zeke, Shayo, and Reese to show us how good it really is.
First game jitters, no. Thank you, Reese. Thank you. Number 1. Listen, first game jitters are gone. The trio cracks back. I can't believe it. And these guys did a perfect job of calling this out for us, right? Tayson being your solos invitational FNCS champion from Chapter 2 Season 3. Coming in, you've got the veterans, the pioneers, Mongrel and Mitro. You slam them all together, and we may very well be looking at the next FNCS Trios champions. Let's take a look at these leaderboards. Look at this lead, gentlemen.
It is monstrous. 186 points to 122, and these guys have 3 victory royales.
That's incredible, actually. 64 points in the lead. And you know, Mongrel and Mitro have been known as this really aggressive two players. Solo, duo, trio, squads, it doesn't matter. These guys are very, very aggressive. And you know, when they started teaming up with Tayson, I felt like it was a personal, fantastic choice because Tayson is very calm, collected, very keeps his own head, and he can IGL these guys into victory. And throughout the start of the FNCS, there was a lot of memes on social media about Tayson, you know, struggling to keep these two on their leash. But it seems like at this point, he's wrapped it all up, and these guys are just playing incredibly consistently.
And we'll have much more to break down as to what they did in that last game. Pay attention to the second and third place, Kinzel and X Squeezes trio. These guys are now just 1 point beside each other. We'll see how their story kind of unfolds in these next few games and who gets to have that second place slot. Over here from 6th all the way to 10th place, Benji, Savage, and Lecce finding some success with Elims in a few games, not making those end games completely. 85 points right now. Past that from 7th to 10th, it is just a 4-point game from Floris' trio all the way down to Teeks.
Yeah, very, very close between the 6th and 10th. And, you know, we just talked about Benji's team there. They kind of have been struggling being contested off spawn, kind of similar to what we've seen during the qualifiers. You know, they'll win that fight, but it'll drag out way too long, and the rotations just aren't good because of that. So I don't know what the next plan is for the next few games today, but hopefully they can kind of figure that out. But moving on to our next page, 11th down to 15th, kind of the similar names that we've seen over the last 2 days on this page.
Yeah, I was going to say that the top 15 is really kind of looking standard now. These guys have found their pacing. It's about improving even more now, taking every game as an individual moment, analyzing it, making the best decisions, and winning, just like we saw Mitro, Mongrel, and Tayson do in that last game. From 16th to 20th overall, we also have a few new names coming in and out, but at the same time, the same teams still on the page. We see Lanoof, Marine, and Jaspe on this page right now, 47 points, contesting that top team in first place. Hen, Deciptos, and Putrick finding some success here on day 2, but these guys will have to have great games to catch up to that top 5.
Guys, this last game felt like a superhero movie, right? We had the shot of the waterfall. We had players trying to go up and down, and then finally the heroes find themselves basking in the sun at the end, being victorious. I mean, we very well could be looking at our next FNCS champions, but there's more that kind of happened here in the game. So I'm going to kick it over to you guys. Walk us through what you guys are seeing.
Now we'll have some big perspectives here earlier on in that end game from Mongrel and how these guys kind of learned from their last game, game number 1 of today, fixed their mistakes, and in game number 2, really played the zone very well to get that victory royale.
You can see they're already on height at this point, but they claimed that during the 50-50 zone because they got the zone right on them from 4th. But these guys are good. They'd already claimed a high ground position earlier on, so when they got that 5th zone, they could completely utilize that and keep height from there on out.
Yeah, in game 1, the mistake was kind of putting all the eggs in one basket, but not really knowing exactly where that basket stood. In this zone, there was water completely in the low ground. They were very comfortable on staying on height the whole time. Tayson here as well staying at the front. Mongrel staying in the back so he could keep tabs on any trios trying to shockwave up like we saw Artours do before. There's that water dive bomb play as Sancho called out. CRR, Kinzel, and Wolfies tried their best to play this water zone, but being on height is the best choice when you're in this type of zone, this aquatic kind of formation of what ends up happening for everyone on low. It's so hard to find your footing, and because of that, Mitro, Mongrel, and Tayson stayed high, stayed dry, and ended up winning that game with beautiful decision making.
And Mitro actually, if you saw there, edited down by Tayson, which didn't seem like an accident. You know, initially when you watched that back, it seemed like Mitro was going to make the aggressive play to go pick up those eliminations. But, you know, even the top teams make a mistake at the end, accidentally editing Mitro down into the water. But because they were over that water, he was safe from fall damage, and they all managed to frag out and pick up that big victory royale.
Hey, look, you just got to fake it till you make it, right? It's not a mistake if you don't call it out. It's a calculated risk, a calculated plan of... It is these guys. When you're as skilled as these guys, when you've been on the scene as long as these guys, they turn these L's into W's. That's just what they do. I want to see them continue with this momentum. Remember, we've got another 5 games on the day. Anything can happen, but will it? We have to kick it back over to our casters to continue the storylines, and we'll be back after this with more breakdowns. Take it away, boys.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Reese. And here we are into the match number 8. And so far, it's been all Tayson, Mongrel, and Mitro with nothing less than a 7th place finish over their first 7 matches, so incredibly well done. But already looking at the mini-map, for the first time in what feels like a long time, there's some other triangles at Stark Industries. So somebody has decided to pony up, somebody has decided to rise to the challenge and be the David to their Goliath over at Stark Industries. We'll be keeping an eye on that elimination feed, but with the Southern Zone 2 right on the edge of that, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Hey, I don't know, man. I've been watching Ghostbusters getting me in the Halloween spirit. You guys released some awesome outfits. And that is a biblical proportion type feat. That is one giant marshmallow man to overcome there. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to bust the bubble of Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson. They are on an unbelievable ride. But one hero that may stand tall, one trio that can get that job done is Kenzel, Wolfies, and CRR. They can make things interesting, and the reason why I say that is because they could pop off with elims as well, and they've been putting it all together. We're getting some placement points, Sundown.
And one thing to note in particular about the last game, you saw how he had the bandage cannon on the you're in the water, you can't actually fire the bandage against anything. It will go all the way down to the bottom of the water. So despite being on 20 HP, he didn't have anything to kind of mark himself against. As we actually see up in the elimination feed, and Dretta pick up another early elimination there. But also, we saw Lecce end up going down as well. So another one of our power trios over at Doom's Domain struggling a little bit here off of the start. The Dual Media boys giving them everything they can handle so far here on day 2.
And I gotta know, as we seen that Snipe does pick up an elim on Benji, what happened? What went down there in Stark Industry? We gotta see in a moment going.
Yeah, and that was Benji's full elim as well. Their trio is down. You keep an eye on that top left corner now, as we're gonna see. It's an Thomas HD and Flick. If there's anybody to rise to the challenge and go after these guys, it will be them. You can see Anas already holding on to the elimination. Flick finds Mitro off of the start, and not only that, but the power weapons in their hands. You can see Tayson tries to make a little bit of an escape here, but you know they're going to ride that one down right away. Big white tags coming out there, and Flick, who accounts for 75% of this trio's eliminations pre-round or pre-zone 5, is going to find his second one here, and they're going to wrap up for the first time in this tournament. Tayson, Mitro, and Mongo go down with 0 points. They had never finished lower than 7th place before this, and that was all the way back in the first game. So now, all of a sudden, that battle for 2nd place, everyone else gets that one opportunity to kind of, I believe the technical term is, shrink that leaderboard gap just a little bit.
Oh man, and that is the story that we have now developing. I took a look at Twitter, okay? I took a look, and Flick, all he tweeted out was a demon emote. That's all, emoji. That's all he tweeted out. Anas, he said, we should have never left. I'm telling you, the problems of switching from their drop spot. They switched from that dirty docks where they were being so strong and so prominent, and they had strong finishes. When they switched to retail row, I just think they noticed that it wasn't enough. They weren't getting their power weapons. They weren't getting all the resources that they need for their playstyle. And now they realize that, hey man, you know, yeah, you never know. They could pop off. You never know, Sundown.
And we've talked about it before as well with this trio coming through. One, they're incredible in terms of their playmaking ability. Whether it's early or late game, we've seen Flick just kind of let running. They also get a nice little Llama 210 pick up there, some extra mats, extra utility. Not that the Stark Industries team will need it after that fact, but I mean, the playmaking capability. But on the flip side of that, let's talk about kind of the mental check that's now going to put on Mitro, Mongo, and Tayson.
Huge.
Because for this entire competition, they haven't had to worry about sitting there in queues. They haven't had to worry about thinking who's going to come there. They haven't had to game plan something else. They haven't had to prep for somebody to come challenge them. Now, all of a sudden, not only are you eliminated in 30 seconds with 0 points, you have to sit there for half an hour, watch everyone else play outside while you're stuck there in jail. No more games for you back in the lobby. and they're out of that rhythm a little bit. They're a trio who very much kind of rides on that momentum. They're very, very emotional players. When they made the World Cup announcement back in the day, people joked about Mitro and Mongrel being the loudest duo, both for the keyboard clacks and just the way they celebrate when they make their plays. But now that they've been silenced for a second, how do they react?
Tayson will have the biggest challenge of them all. Will Mongrel and Mitro put up that brick wall and not listen to his calls? It's going to be up to Tayson to kind of hold that ship from going capsizing completely. Giannis, Alex, and Xweez, they have an opportunity now to gain some grounds here.
Ahora sí, amigo. Ahora por fin, boludo. Después de 5 años, ahora sí lo puedo arreglar, boludo. Dale. Por fin, amigo. Bueno, vamos a eso. No se escucha Imus, por eso. Aunque ya tengo un poquito más configurado de otra cosa, ya sabes. Mi objetivo es caer en el señorío de la sal y ganar ahí por salir un récord de aquí. Voy a bailar con un baile fresco, che. Un baile fresco, por favor. Ese no es un baile fresco, bro. Pana, ese tampoco no es un baile fresco, Pana. Creo que se está burlando de mi skin, me parece. ¿Hasta cuándo van a dejar esta cosa? No sé. Pero quiero, por favor, el evento final. Galactus acerca el mapa de Apolo. El día de hoy veremos cómo Galactus acerca el mapa de Fortnite con distintos secretos que se esconden en el mundo de Fortnite. Nuevas revelaciones y la skin de Greg ha sido cancelada. Alto Rizac, alto Rizac. Estoy diseñado para hacer Rizac. Diseñaré ahora 31 minutos. Like. Loca Vera. Acá salió una cosa de Loca Vera acá, no sé. A ver, espera. Para, compa, ¿qué fue? Salió una cosa, güey. Por favor, una. Ah, gracias. Gracias por darme algo decente, Qué descarados. Descarados de mierda. 8, bueno, gracias, igual me sirvió esto. Pero, era lo que quería, era casi lo que quería, eso me encanta. Bueno, eso me gusta. Ojo, sí, mal, bueno. Like, eso, no para mí ya, bueno, aunque hay gente, Veo que por aquí hay una personita. Che, compa, si te atreves a salir. La compita. Todavía, tengo una traser de edad. El que sale y me quiere disparar, bueno, me quiere plomo. Este tipo creo que quiere plomo. Plata o plomo, usted elige, va. Plata o plomo, usted elige. Usted creo que es un señor bot, ¿cierto? Sí, es un señor bot. Como creo que es un señor bot. Ojalá que la tip, ojalá, no, pero niño, porque este vete no tomó ningún café, hay que ser un normal. Bueno, eso era lo que más a proximidad quería. A proximidad estaría por decir. Bueno, acá en esta casa igual hay gente. Cuidado. No sé por hacer por meterme en su pelea, che, pero igual quiero meterme un poquitito en su pelea, Pero igual quiero. pa? ¿Qué me tenés de regalito, pa? Ah, qué inmensa. A la mierda, bicho. Ven, hijo puta. Ven, hijo puta. Dale, puto bicho. Puto bicho, mierda. ¿Cosa? Bueno, ahora es como seguro que me viene el otro. Ahora sí es seguro. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué acaba de pasar? ¿Qué acaba de pasar? Un tipo se murió muy random. Randomize. Yo no creo que en este caso hubo gente. Y voy a investigar. Soy el cazafantasmas Jones. Uy, ando muy raro con mi configuración. Con esta configuración ando un poquito raro. Ok. Para mí hemos desinfectado todo acá, hemos desinfectado todo. Sé que no queda gente acá. No, acá no queda. No, pará, acá hay un drop. Buena suerte, Bueno, che, ¿cuándo vas a caer? Opa. Quiero que caigas ahora, Porque cuando digo ahora, es ahora. Bueno, me gusta. Me gusta lo que veo con mis ojos. Me gusta lo que veo con mis ojos y cuando lo veo con mis ojos es que me gusta más. No me complico. Rico que recto. Pues ahora voy a eleccionar el evento igual. Fortnite se la sacó, Fortnite sacó. Quiero hacer un concepto con J y vamos a sacar todos mis huevos morenos de cancelar eventos y cancelar skins y retrasar eventos y vamos a sacar un evento en igual. Y listo, nos sacaron así, va. Los huevos morenos de Fortnite para cancelar eventos y también para retrasar skins y esas cosas. Buenardo. Me buenardo cuando lo hizo Fortnite. No sé para qué me iba a servirme esta cosa, la granada de impulso, pero sé que para algo me va a servir. Eso lo sepa. Esto me va a ayudar. Aunque sé que me va a ayudar mucho más, pero... Y no sé dónde está la bendita neta. Creo que por allá. No sé, a ver. No puedo quedarme campeando como todo un loquillo, pero no. Mi objetivo no es campear. Mi objetivo es pelear. Mi objetivo es pelear, nada más eso es mi objetivo. Alguna vez se corre porque si otro se aparece tanta buga que me va a pegar 150.000 veces dos a la cabeza, yo me voy. Voy prácticamente me voy y listo. Yo soy no juego Fortnite por 5 meses. Me pierdo el evento y todo. Me pierdo el evento y todos felices. Voy a ver si hay gente por acá. Perfecto. Chipa. No te hagas que yo no te visite, Vipa. Tú no te hagas. No te hagas, mi pana. No te hagas, pana, yo te digo. Pero amigo, ¿cuánto me vienen las conchas de su hermana? Pero amigo, la concha. Por lo menos no podemos ganar como... Y no me meto con todo. Me cago en todo. Quería ganarla y ni la gané. Y que tengo la peor suerte del mundo. ¡Oh, mira! Eso me sirve, no hay ningún problema en eso. Vale, ¿los vas a matar? ¿O quieres que te ayude? Yo te voy a ayudar, amigo. ¿Cómo vas a estar los amigos? A mí me gusta. Por matar a mi amigo. Por matar a mi amigo. La rey, ¿cómo te explico? A mí me gusta, pues la rey. ¿Cómo te explico? A mí me gusta, pues la rey. ¿Cómo te explico? ¿Cómo te explico? Voy a comer un pescadito. Voy a comer un pescadero, gente. Ella se come, familia, y se come. Porque vamos a traer un nuevo contenido para acá. Bueno, por si no saben, hay un grupo de Gamercraft que quizás en un video voy a promocionarlo. Que ahí puse qué quieren que grabe y nada, ahí puse una cuenta, así que si señor que está viendo esto, para que responda esa respuesta y así puedo grabar algún contenido. Yo más quisiera grabar Root Company porque es un juego nuevo para mí y nada, me encanta este juego, me encanta por su jugabilidad y esa cosa. Y obviamente hay que decir de que Among Us igual está de moda y eso también quiero subir. Eso también quiero subir de Among Us. No he subido ningún video de Among Us. ¿Qué me pasa? ¿Qué me ha pasado? No sé qué me ha pasado. Padre. A ver, ¿qué luz tenías, TPT? ¿Qué luz tenías? Hubiese dicho antes que tenía eso, ¿eh? Porque yo tenía una morada. Fíjate. Está todo, pero... Watchmen. Amigo, pero ¿por qué no está esta cosa? Prueba. Bueno, quizá me pasé, ¿eh? No, sí, creo que me pasé. A ver... Acá... Amigo, pero a ver, Wimichu torneo, listo. Mira.
Estoy así, tener una excusa con la que empezar el vídeo, para nada.
Para nada, sí, claro, no, a ver, sí, porque...
Hace un par de meses nos juntamos en YouTube a hacer un torneo de fornite. Nos lo pasamos de puta madre. Y mañana vamos a hacer un torneo pero presencial. Y por eso estoy haciendo la maleta, porque me voy de viaje. ¿Qué es esto? Otra casualidad. Para nada me he puesto yo aquí, ¿eh? Para nada,
Okay.